When you think of great entrepreneurs, you probably think of Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, or someone along those lines. You would probably never think of Thomas Foon Chew. So let me explain why you should. In the early 20th century, Chinese-American businessman Thomas Foon Chew led the Bayside Canning Company to become the third largest cannery in the United States at the time, and the business empire that he established made him the wealthiest Chinese businessman in California at the time of his death. However, his true contributions go even beyond that. What if I told you that Thomas Foon Chew was indirectly responsible for the economic development of the early Bay Area, which paved the way for the development of Silicon Valley? Let's take a closer look. Thomas Foon Chew's life started in remarkably unremarkable conditions. He was born in China, but emigrated to the United States, specifically San Francisco, when he was very young. Growing up, Foon Chew had to deal with the immense anti-Chinese sentiment that was present at the time.
Thomas Foon Chew grew up in El Viso but went to school in San Francisco because Orientals weren't allowed at Caucasian schools.
However, Foon Chew excelled as a student, especially in English.
His English was impeccable. That his foreman said that if you had a blanket which separated him from Thomas Foon Chew, you would not know he was Chinese.
Thomas's father, Cy Yin Chew, built the Precita Canning Company in the old San Francisco Chinatown. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in the Great San Francisco Earthquake of 1906. As a result, the Chew family moved to El Viso, and it was there that the Bayside Canning Company was born. At the age of 17, Thomas took over as the manager, and no one expected him to do what he did next. By 1920, the cannery had become the third largest cannery in the entire United States. By 1924, Foon Chew had also acquired two new canneries in Ileton on the Sacramento River and Mayfield, which is now Palo Alto. But how exactly did he do this? Thomas Foon Chew was known for his ability to always find solutions to his problems through innovation and outside-the-box thinking. There is a story about how he once bought land from a farmer in Yuba City. Everyone in the city knew that that piece of land was worthless and that nothing could grow there. However, Foon Chew was able to blow open the soil using dynamite, and he turned this seemingly worthless piece of land into one of the finest peach farms in the Bay Area. He was also able to acquire a rice farm in Dos Palos and a fruit tree orchard in Grass Valley, which was even more impressive considering the 1913 Alien Land Law Act, which prohibited Asian immigrants from owning land in California. There is also an urban legend that by preserving tomatoes that were about to spoil, he created a condiment that a lot of people should be familiar with.
The story was that because El Viso would flood so often, that he would tell the workers, hurry up and can the tomatoes, because if you don't hurry up, it would become ketchup, and ketchup is the Cantonese term for ketchup.
Those familiar with Silicon Valley may know that many companies use buses to transport their workers. Well, that practice traces all the way back to, you guessed it, Thomas Foon Chew.
He would take the trucks and go in the community and pick everybody up and bring them to work. So he was revered, not just here, in Saratoga and in San Francisco.
However, Thomas Foon Chew's greatest innovations revolved around an unexpected vegetable, asparagus. In fact, he was known as the Asparagus King back in the day.
The sorting machine was an example how he would sort the asparagus, and it would go through a conveyor belt with with a smaller hose first, and then it would roll down and the larger asparagus would fall into the boxes.
In addition to being a great businessman, Thomas Foon Chew was also known for being just an incredible person, setting an example for all to follow.
Whenever you talk about Thomas Foon Chew, it's just not the 6 plaques that he has all over the city, but the very fact that they trusted him to always pay their water bill, that they never had to pay a water bill so long as he was alive and so long as Bayside Cannery was going on.
Thomas Foon Chew also set up a school inside the Bayside Canning Company to provide education for the community of Alviso. But it wasn't just the community of Alviso that Thomas Foon Chew helped. It was the larger Bay Area as a whole.
You know, he would go to San Francisco all the time. And the Chinese are a very close community. And part of that was because of the discrimination. Chinatown had its own hierarchy, its social hierarchy. And he was very involved in that hierarchy. It was like the Six Company, you know, would represent Chinatown to the Caucasian community. So for example, if you were Chinese and you were driving and you got a ticket, they would fight your ticket for you because more than likely you wouldn't be able to speak English. And then you had the family associations, and that was very big. And the family associations would find you a wife, they would find you a place to live. If you wanted to get a divorce, you would go to the family association. They would take care of all your personal problems. And then you had the tongs that would take care of your occupational, your professional, like you would belong to a tong, and it was like a guild.
And how was Thomas Foon Chew, I guess, viewed in this community?
That he was in all of it. You know, he was in all of it. That he had his finger in getting you a job, getting you a wife, getting you a place to live. And like I said, the Chinese are so well organized, and he would donate money to all of those organizations that existed at the time.
Yeah. The most telling example of Foon Chew's kindness was during his funeral.
He had the largest funeral in San Francisco as well as San Jose. That there were 25,000 that attended the funeral procession.
So all this is good and all, but why is Thomas Foon Chew's story so important? Well, future generations need as many role models as they can in order to be inspired and create a better future for us. Thomas Foon Chew can fill this hole and become one of those role models, inspiring future generations with his imagination, wisdom, altruism, and determination. But don't just take it from me.